So what's the best way to protect your living space? Whether this is a house, an apartment, a condo, or just the room that you are renting that you live in. There's a lot of different energies and things that can kind of wander in and out or get attached to us or get attached and brought in by the people that come into our space that we might not want sticking around. So there's a bunch of different things that we can do in order to help keep our spaces clean. So we're going to talk about those today. Now, the first thing that I want to say, first and foremost, if you notice you're having any problems, you really want to make sure that you are keeping yourself cleansed and your space cleansed on a fairly regular basis, because lots of things can disrupt the energy and allow other things to come in or just create kind of a weird, funky feeling in your space. So I know people like to cleanse themselves in their space differently. Some people like to do sage or Palo Santo. Some people will take, different cleansing leaves and kind of wash them over the walls and different things like that. But whatever it is that you like to do, just make sure that you're kind of keeping your space energetically cleansed, because it's going to be really hard for stuff to like stick in your areas if the energy isn't matching what that vibration is. So make sure that you're clean. Make sure that the people you're living with are getting kind of cleansed and cleaned off regularly, and make sure that your space is kind of getting cleaned. That's a really great way to kind of start your basic protection techniques, because when you have similar vibrations, they kind of match and attach, right? So if you've got a lot of low or dirty energy, it's going to be really easy for other stuff to come in. Now, there's some other reasons you might want to protect your space as well. Maybe you've got weird neighbors. Maybe you live in an area where there's some kind of weird energy around the space. Maybe you live next to a graveyard. There's all sorts of things that could be happening where you would need to kind of protect your home or your space. So let's talk about some things you can do, from kind of basic to sort of complicated. So one of the very first things that you can do is, I like to put black salt around the perimeter of my building if I'm having some issues. Black salt is very protective. It reflects any negative energies that you have times 10, kind of just back to their source point. So that's a really good way just to kind of sprinkle it around. If you notice it's working for a little bit and then maybe stuff's kind of coming back in, go back and redo the salt, because all kind of charms and magic and things like that, they don't always work consistently forever. You have to kind of recharge things. So keep that in mind if you notice something along those lines. So if you are renting a room or something, you can actually do this around the perimeter of the inside of your room too, so you don't feel like you have to do the whole house if people are staring at you or it feels weird or uncomfortable. Basically all you're doing with the black salt is reflecting that energy back to wherever it's coming from, because it's gross and yucky and bad and you don't want it. Okay. That's a super easy way. Crystals are another really great way to kind of protect your space, and something that's pretty easily accessible for a lot of individuals. So some really good crystals for protection. Amethyst is really good. I personally am a big fan of black tourmaline because of the work I do. I have a lot of really heavy stuff sometimes that kind of floats around, or from clients and stuff, people are dealing with really heavy, big issues. So for me, I really like to use that one. Black onyx is also another one that I like a lot. There's a lot of different ones that are protective. So I would always say with crystals or any other tools or things that you're getting, pick something that really resonates with you. Now, how do you use these in your house, right? You just throw them on the front door. What do we do? Okay, so there's a couple different things. Some people like to kind of plant them around their property, and the dirt they kind of line will make kind of a protective chain, sort of like what the salt does around the house. Some people will put them in kind of in problem areas, so where there's a lot of traffic. Some people might put them over the door, kind of like the what do you call it, the little overhang on the top of the door. They'll put them up there. Some people will also put them kind of along windowsills, line windowsills. You could even put them kind of like a grid, in all four of the corners of your house to kind of secure and lock sort of things down. That's another really great way that you can use crystals to protect your home. Another really pretty basic way that you can protect your space is if you happen to have plants, or you like plants, or you're an herbalist of any sort. Plants are also really protective and very powerful. A really basic, easy one you can get anywhere is rosemary. You can plant this outside of your house. I know a lot of people too will like to kind of gather a bundle together, and they'll hang it over the doorways and things like that, and it kind of will help kind of protect anything from coming into your space that you don't want there. It's very kind of cleansing and very protective. If you don't want to have 10 rosemary bundles all over your house. Okay, well, if you want to just do one, well, where do we put it? Because there's a lot of doors. So what I would say is, whatever the main entrance is that you have, this is where your rosemary should go, or any other protective herbs or anything like that. So some people use their front door, some people use their side door, some people use their garage door. So wherever that main entrance is for you, for your personal space, you know, put that there. If you're renting a room or something, just put it over the doorway of your room. That's perfectly acceptable. Some other ones you might want to try, mugwort can be good as well. I personally have a tea leaf plant that's it's a Hawaiian one. It's gorgeous. They're the ones with the really big kind of like maroon leaves that come out, and those for me have always worked really well. So I have one that I just love, and I keep it kind of by my front entrance, and if I need to clean my place out, I'll ask permission to take a leaf and I'll sweep the space out with one or two of the leaves, because I do find that that works really well too. So it's whatever kind of works for you. You know, everyone kind of has an affinity for a different plant or a different kind of quality that it has. So anything that's protective plant-wise will work. You can also put these protective plants inside your home. You can put one by the front door. If you have any places where you notice weird energy piling up or strange things, you know, some people will put them next to their bedside table as well. So that's another place that you can utilize plants for protection. Now, if you want to get fancy, there's some other things that you can do. You know, we do get a lot of energy in our personal spaces, and some things can happen, whether it's stuff that follows us in, whether it's an argument that happens and that kind of weird, yucky kind of feeling energy sticks in that space. You know, it's good to kind of clean those things out. So, you know, it's cleaning on a regular basis is good. If you want to be kind of fancy, you can go and do kind of like a cleansing bath for your walls and your doors. So you get a bucket of warm water, and you can put some essential oils in there. Mugwort's always a really good one to use. It's really spiritual, very protective herb. It doesn't always work for everybody, so make sure how you feel about it. For me personally, I have a little problem because it ramps up my psychic senses a little too much. So for me, it makes me a little shaky. It's like having too much caffeine, but it does work really well. You know, sage is also good too. If you wanted, you know, you can put some garden sage in there if you want. You don't always have, you know, that's a really good one to use. But you kind of make like a little wash in a bucket with some warm water, right? Maybe you could put like a little tiny bit of soap in if you want. Or add whatever else you want in there. You can herbs, essential oils, whatever you want. You make a wash for your house. So what you do is you kind of, you know, squeeze it out and you wipe down all your walls. You wipe down your doors. You can make another one or a similar one for your floors, and it kind of just cleans the energy out, resets it, and kind of puts a protective barrier up on all of the walls and things that you have around your place. So that's another really good technique that you can use. If you want to get fancy too, I know a lot of people kind of will meditate and go into a space and visualize protective energies around their house. You know, another way that you can do that is if you want to take beams of white light and you want to just kind of shoot those up all around your house, just as far up as you can see. It's kind of like one of those lights at the, like a spotlight at the movies where it goes all the way up. You know, and that light can also form a protective barrier around your space. Now, if you are trying to kind of, you know, there's maybe some things that are in your space that you might want to kind of push out with this protective barrier, what I would say to you is always leave like one of your like gates or your little things like a little open, or in your mind's eye when you're visualizing putting that protective energy around your space, leave a little gap in there so that some of that energy can kind of go out. And once you feel the space is a little bit cleaner, then you can seal that back up. But if you just seal everything off right away, what's going to happen is that energy is going to be bouncing around and it's not going to have anywhere to go. So you always want to make sure it has a little bit of an exit point, and then when it gets out, then you can kind of close everything down once that you know that your space is very energetically cleansed and that it feels better to you. So those are some different ways that you can just kind of keep your space clean. Like I said before too, remember to always keep yourself clean too, and that will help things from kind of coming with you into your space. So I hope that was helpful. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. But I really appreciate you watching, and until next time, thank you so much and have an absolutely beautiful day.